In this video, we're trying to find quadratic equations given its roots, also known as its zeros. So our goal is to come up with the equation ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0 given the roots. But let's go back and think about what we did before. We were actually taking an equation and trying to come up with its roots. So we would have eventually had to come up with answers of x equals 8 and x equals -7 for our particular problem. So if we were to go in reverse, we would probably need to realize that I would have to have subtracted 8 to both sides to come up with the equation that would have been the work before, which is x minus 8 equal to 0. This x minus 8 would have been one of two factors of the quadratic equation that I was trying to solve. So I'm going to actually write x minus 8 as one of the quantities. Just like if I add 7 to both sides, I will come up with x plus 7 equal to 0. And the x plus 7 would be the second factor that I would need to come up with my quadratic equation. Now it's important to remember I said a quadratic equation, which means based on the zero product property, this would need to be set equal to 0. So if I now FOIL my terms, which means I'll need to multiply the first terms together, which in this case is x times x. And then I find the outside terms, which in this case is going to be x times 7. And then I take the inside terms, which in this case is -8 times x. Times, and I get my last terms, which is -8 times 7. Yeah, let's make sure you understand that the times there. I will add those terms together and come up with x squared plus 7x minus 8x minus 56, and I will need to set that equal to 0. So if you recall, the whole purpose of factoring is to break up the middle term so that you can split it up into the two individual factoring pieces. Well, now we're going to take the two linear terms and combine them to come out with the final answer of x squared minus x minus 56 equal to 0. So 8 and -7 are the solutions to this particular quadratic equation. So I have a few more examples that I want to do, come from various types. And the next example is where I have x equals 0 as one of my final solutions, and x equaling -2 as another solution to some quadratic. Well, again, based on the zero product property, each expression had to equal 0. Well, this one already does. I don't have to do anything with this, so one of my factors is simply going to be x. When I add 2 to both sides of this equation, I will get x plus 2 equals 0. It is this piece, the x plus 2, that will be my second factor. And in the end, this will equal 0. So I don't need to FOIL, but I still need to distribute. And so x times x works out to be x squared. X times 2 ends up being plus 2x. And that will equal 0, and that already is the answer to my second example.